Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In the last lesson, we have discussed about the types of solutions and what will happen if we put a cell in hypertonic solution. Today we continue the topic. The last point we discussed was what will happen if we put a cell in hypertonic solution. Answer, water moves from the cell to outside by a process called exosmosis. When water moves out from the cell shrinks. So next point is what will happen if we put a cell in hypotonic solution. Hypotonic solution. What is hypotonic solution? We have discussed in the first lesson. In hypotonic solution, water molecules are more and solute molecules are less. When we put a cell in hypotonic solution, water molecules are more in the hypotonic solution and less inside the cell. So water from the hypotonic solution moves into the cell. By which process? By endosmosis, because water is entering into the cell. So endosmosis. So water from hypotonic solution moves into the cell by endosmosis. The result is the cell swell. I hope you could understand. Another situation, what will happen if we put a cell in isotonic solution? What is isotonic solution? Solute molecules and water molecules are same in a solution. Such a solution is called isotonic solution. So when we put a cell in isotonic solution, the water molecule which enter into the cell, the water molecules which come out of the cell are equal. Equal number of molecules move in and out. That means there is no net movement of water molecules between the isotonic solution and the cell. There is no net movement of water molecules between isotonic solution and the cell. Now that topic is over. Our chapter name is Fundamental Unit of Life. Fundamental Unit of Life. The chapter begins by asking, who discovered cell? Who discovered cell? You studied in lower class. Cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. Cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. The next question. From which substance cell was discovered? From which substance the cell was discovered. You know, cork, C-O-R-K, cork. Then you may have a doubt, what is cork? What is cork? Cork is a substance we get from bark of a tree. Cork is a substance we get from bark of a tree. Again, you may have a doubt, what is bark? What is bark? In old trees, you may have seen hard broken outer layer. Hard broken outer layer. That layer is called bark. Bark. So cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. Cell was discovered from cork. Cork is a substance we get from bark, and bark is the outer hard broken layer of old trees. I hope you could understand. And next point, the cell or different cells have different size and shape. Different cells have different size and shape. The size and shape of the cell depends on its function. Its function. According to the function, the size of the cell, shape of the cell may change. The size and shape of the some cells are fixed. Shape of the cell, in some cells the shape is fixed, but some cells can change its shape. Some cells can change its shape. For example, amoeba is a single-celled organism. Amoeba is a single-celled organism. That means its body contains only one cell. But it can change its shape at any time. At any time, amoeba can change its shape. So, example for a cell that can change its shape. Consider nerve cell. Nerve cell, otherwise called a neuron. Neuron. Neuron has a fixed shape, fixed size and shape. So, the size and shape of the cells depend on their function. I hope you could understand this point. Another point, cells can do certain basic functions that an organism does. Cells can do certain basic functions that an organism does. For example, a cell can clean itself. Clean the cell itself. A cell can produce certain substances like proteins, lipids. Cells can produce energy. Cells can respire. So certain functions cell can do. How do they perform these functions? How do cells perform certain basic functions? Answer is that cell contains certain special structures inside it. Cell contains certain special structures in it. These structures are called cell organelles. Cell organelles. So cell organelles help the cell to carry out basic functions. Cell organelles help the cell to carry out basic functions. I hope you could understand this point also. So what we discussed today, what happens if we put a cell in hypotonic and isotonic solutions. You could understand that. And the size and shape of the cell depends on its function. Cells can do certain basic functions only because of having cell organelles inside the cells. I hope you could understand. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.